Well, good morning. It's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Yeah, it's kind of early this morning. I'm sitting here in front of a window in my hotel room, actually my hotel war room, where I am getting ready for trial right now. So I'm out of town, and this is a chance for me to give you my video thought for today from this hotel room with a window. And the window doesn't look like a window, maybe it looks like a reflection, because it's nighttime outside and I have lights on in here. But I'm using this in front of the window because this week I've themed my thoughts for the day on different aspects of a home. I've talked about knocking at the door. I've talked about stones that were used to build some of the homes. I've talked about the different rooms. I've talked about different aspects of a home. And today, as I bring this week to a close, I thought I'd talk about windows. Now, windows are a little bit different today than they were in biblical times. In biblical times, windows were by and large just openings. Now, they didn't have glass. They certainly didn't have anything like this that was going to keep the weather out and all the rest, but they had a need for the weather to stay out at times. So what they would do is have an opening in the wall, and they would have a heavy drape that they would hang from the inside to help keep out the weather. Now some would use wood, and they would figure out how to do the equivalent of a wood shutter. If your window, your opening, was in a place that could be considered dangerous or available for crooks, if it was big enough, they might do bars in like a lattice work within the window. But windows were used mainly to let light into a house, because remember, this is before artificial electric light. They had lamps. But that brings up a second reason you would need a window, an opening like that, and that was for ventilation. Because lamps would burn off of generally olive oil, and that would, they didn't use the best of the oil, the first or second or third pressings of olive pits and olives to get lamp oil. That would be used for cooking. The lamp oil was the sooty bad stuff at the end. There were times where windows were used as escape hatches. Paul was let down through a rope once. He talks about in Corinthians, through a window. In the Old Testament, in the town of Jericho, you'll recall Rahab the harlot let the Israelite spies out out through a window. So windows have these different functions. And I thought one of the most interesting passages about windows to me is found in the book of Acts, chapter 20. Now, that's got Paul and Luke, who wrote Acts, and they are on a missionary trip, and it's their last night in Troas before they get up the next morning and go on. And Paul spends that last night with the church there, the young fledgling Christian community, and they're meeting on the first day of the week. Now, first day of the week is very typical Jewish nomenclature for Sunday. The Jewish calendar had first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, and then the Sabbath. Only day of the week that had a name in the Jewish calendar back then was the Sabbath. So Luke talks about this from a Jewish perspective of naming it as the first day of the week. And if he'd been speaking from Latin or Greek, it would have been called Sunday, because it was the day in Latin. Deus Solis means the day of the sun. And so, which, by the way, has been found in graffiti dating from about the same time in Pompeii, but that's a side note. So anyway, Paul is taking this last night, and he's meeting with this fledgling church. Now, they wouldn't have met in the morning on Sunday, because Sunday back then was a work day and most people couldn't get off work. So it's in the evening. And you know that they'd have the torches and the lamps going, And that's going to be smoke, and it's going to make it, this is probably about April, if we can time the calendar right, about 57 AD. And so the air would have gotten heavy, and there was a fellow named Eutychus who's sitting in the window. Now, they're on the third floor of this tenement area, and he's sitting in the window, and he gets drowsy because Paul's going on past midnight. He's so excited to be sharing the word, and Eutychus falls out of the window 3 stories down. Boom. Seems dead to Luke, the doctor. Paul goes down, hugs him, says, don't worry, there's life still in him. And Eutychus the next day is up walking around. By the way, Eutychus is Greek for lucky. So old Lucky made it through. But I tell you this whole story not only to inform you about windows, but to tell you something I think is kind of cool and in my brain today. And that is the way that Paul was so excited and so eager, and the community was so eager to soak up the Word of God and to talk about it, to talk about the transformation of what difference the gospel makes, that they stay up past midnight talking, knowing Paul's leaving the next day. So Paul needs his sleep, but more excited to him is a chance to talk, a chance to really resound. And I think about that with my video thought for the day, because I want to have that level of excitement for the Word of God. And I hope you do too. I went too long today. I hope none of you fell out of the window, but I wish you a very great weekend, and I'll see you next week as we continue our video thoughts of the day.